Alright, on to chapter 7. The last chapter, we learned a lot about Peake's backstory and his situation. His father doesn't seem like he was involved at all with Peake's upbringing. The mother got his mother was also very much into climbing, but she got a terrible injury, which stopped her climbing. It was a real shame. Also having Peake, I guess. And the father has gone on to, set a bunch of records and become like a world famous mountain climber. Pretty neat stuff. But we still don't know a lot about the father other than that he was absent, which is not great. So this chapter is called Bangkok. If you don't know what Bangkok is, you can Google it. I'm not going to tell you. Bangkok. 1 hour and 43 minutes. And still, no sign of my father. I had made one trip out of the country with Rolf, Mom, and the twins, London, 2 summers ago, and knew that you had to check in early for international flights. Where was he? What kind of errand was he running? What if he didn't show? And all the other boring questions that run through your mind when you're waiting. I walked over to the flight information monitor, thinking that maybe our flight was delayed. On time, it read. Above the monitor was a regular TV. I glanced at it and was going to turn away until the anchor said, "The state of New York has reached a plea agreement with Peake Marcello, the boy who climbed the Woolworth Building early last year. He was sentenced to 3 years of probation and fined a whopping $150,000. This is the steepest penalty ever given for criminal trespass in New York's history." The camera cut to a shot of the mayor getting into the back of a black limo. He turned to the reporter and said, "This should put an end to people climbing skyscrapers in the city of New York. This illegal activity will no longer be tolerated under any circumstances." Pete Marcello and his family were unavailable for comment, said the reporter, and it is believed the boy has left the state of New York for an undisclosed location. Not yet, I thought, turning away, grateful they hadn't run a photo of me. Peek! Finally! My father was pushing a huge cart with a mountain of gear piled on it. I trotted over. "Give me a hand." I helped him push the cart up to the counter. "What is all this stuff?" "I don't get to New York very often, and thought I should stock up on some supplies. Give me your passport." He put it down on the counter, along with his own battered passport, which looked like it had been through the wash a couple of times. "You're cutting it a little close, Mr. Wood," the attendant said. "I know," my father said. "Family emergency." The attendant pointed at the cart. "That exceeds your baggage limit." My father took a credit card out of his pocket. "Just put it on this." By the time we had everything checked, we had only minutes to catch the flight. We were the last ones down the jetway. I couldn't get us oh, sorry. I couldn't get us seated together, he said as we stepped into the airplane, "but at least we're both in business class." He pointed out my seat, then I gotta click. Okay. Then took his own, which was 3 rows behind me, and that's the last time I talked to him for 13 hours. We had a 3-hour layover at the Narita airport near Tokyo, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him there either, because we spent the entire time on his cell phone speaking what sounded like Chinese, but it could have been Thai or Nepalese as far as I knew. He was still jabbering on the phone while we boarded the plane for Bangkok, where I was disappointed again to see that we were in separate rows. Another 6 hours passed. On the way to customs in Bangkok, I finally caught him between calls. "I'm really sorry about all this, Dad. You have come all this way to the States, the money, being stuck with me." "Whoa," he said, holding up his callous climbing hand. "First, you don't have to call me Dad. I don't deserve the title. For the time being, let's pretend I'm your big brother. Just call me Josh, like all my friends do. Second, don't worry about the money. Ralph and your mom put a big chunk of change in. I'll get my portion back. And finally, I'm not stuck with you. I couldn't be happier to have you with me. I just haven't had much time to show it because I'm trying to get something together." "What?" I asked. A surprise. But in the meantime, no worries. He continued down towards customs, where there was another little problem. I didn't have a visa to enter Thailand. My father, Josh, took my passport and disappeared into a room with a couple customs officer and came back about 10 minutes later. We're in the clear, he said, hurrying through the airport towards the terminal, bypassing baggage claim. What about your gear? We'll get it tomorrow, no worries. Outside, we climbed into the back of a car. We're not going to Chiang Mai? Not yet. We'll get there eventually. It was well after midnight, but Bangkok was wide awake. The cabbie crazily swerved between bicycles, motorcycles, and cars for 20 minutes, finally coming to a stop in front of a hotel. Josh paid the driver, and we walked into the lobby, where the concierge beamed at us. Mr. Wood, I have your rooms all ready. He handed each of us a key. Okay, Josh said as we got into the elevator. I have some more errands due tomorrow. In the morning, I'll have a driver waiting for you in the lobby, 9 o'clock. He'll take you to the clinic for a physical. A physical? Yeah, an immigration formality. And I want them to check your face and ear. He took my hands and looked at my damaged fingers. We'll need to get those fixed too. Anyway, I'll come by the clinic and pick you up when you're finished, and we'll be on our way. If I'm late, just wait for me there. Try to get some sleep. I don't want you to flunk your physical because you're tired. When I woke up, I didn't even know what day it was. Couldn't remember if you lost a day or gained a day in Thailand. I ate breakfast, went for a walk, and got back to the hotel and waited for my driver. The clinic turned out to be a huge hospital, and it took a while for me and the driver to find Dr. Wu's office. He was expecting me. In fact, it turned out I was the only patient he had that day. I'd had physicals before, but nothing like this. Dr. Wu and his nurse didn't speak English, so they just pantomimed me through the battery of tests. Pantomime means like using your hands and body to communicate. I was x-rayed, CAT scanned, and jabbed with countless needles. They put me on treadmills and stationary bicycles with so many leads attached to my body and tubes jammed into my mouth. I wouldn't have been able to ask them what they were doing, even if I spoke Thai. They must have drawn a quart of blood over the course of the day. They checked my ears, eyes, mouth, and other holes I didn't even want to think about. They took the stitches out of my ear. Another doctor came in and looked at my feet, knees, shoulders, hips, elbows, wrists, and finally my fingers, which he put some salve on and bandaged, then gave me instructions on how to do it myself, which I barely understood. By the time they finished with me, it was late afternoon, and I was so exhausted I wanted to check myself into the hospital as a patient. The nurse led me to a waiting room, and I promptly fell asleep on an uncomfortable chair. And that's where Josh woke me sometime after dark. Apparently, he had been there for a while, talking to Dr. Wu, because he had a thick file in his hand, which I assumed were Dr. Wu's findings. Am I going to live? I asked groggily. No worries, Josh said. I'm not surprised you're in such great shape with me and your mother's genes. Let's go. We have an airplane to catch. I was looking forward to Chiang Mai, where I could finally get some rest. His gear was waiting for him outside the airport, guarded by a porter the size of a sumo wrestler. He paid the porter, wheeled the cart to the counter, and said, We're booked on a flight to Kathmandu. I wasn't sure I heard him right. Did you say Kathmandu? Right. I thought we were going to Chiang Mai. We will, he said as he transferred gear to the conveyor belt. But we have a stop to make first. He must have bought the gear for someone in Kathmandu. Actually, a couple stops, he added as he threw on the last box. Well, where's the second stop? I asked. Everest, he said. I stared at him. For a climber, saying that you are stopping by Everest is like saying you're going to stop by and see God. Josh was grinning at me. I didn't want to tell you until we had it all worked out. Your physical was the last hurdle. That and the Chinese visa. Kathmandu is in Nepal, I pointed out. Right, Josh said. But we're not going up the south side in Nepal. We're going up the north side in Tibet. You have to be 16 to get a permit to go up the Nepalese side. The Chinese aren't quite so picky. They don't care how old you are as long as you pay the fee. And then there are the 25 clients I have waiting at. I'm climbing Mount Everest, I asked, more stunned than I'd ever been in my life. "I don't know if you'll make the summit," he said, "but if we get you up there before your 15th birthday, you'll be the youngest person in the world ever to stand above 29,000 feet." He picked up the tickets and started towards the gate. I followed him numbly. He didn't have to ask if I wanted to go. Every climber in the world wants to summit Everest, or at least give it a try. On the airplane, Josh waved me into the window seat and sat down in the seat next to mine. The plane backed away from the jetway. "Does Mom know about this?" I asked. No, but I'll give her a call. No worries." It's a good chapter. We're really getting into the adventure part of this novel, right? Just like how we're talking about the action is building and building. Well, now, boom, we're set to climb Mount Everest. That's going to really cause a bunch of challenges and problems for Peak, and that's going to drive the action of the story, which is awesome. We also have Peak's father, who, very interesting character so far, right? He says no worries a lot, but then keeps Peak in the dark quite a bit, doesn't he? It's interesting. Um, yeah, I'm curious to see where this is going. I haven't read I haven't read too far ahead yet. I'll probably finish it soon though. But I'm excited to keep reading. I hope you are too. Here's what you have to do, guys. I put this on Teams. I know here it says before you read, but this is just before you read and they're in Nepal, right? So all this stuff is about Nepal. I'm going to ask you to get some information and some background knowledge about Nepal so that you know what we're talking about when we read this novel. There's a nice map here for you to look at and figure out where it is, some questions. Here, there's some questions about Nepal, and you'd have to click on this link, and it will send you to this website, whenever it loads, and it'll give you some facts about Nepal, and the flag, history, all kinds of stuff, and that will help you answer these questions. You gotta do a bit of reading yourself. You gotta draw the flag of Nepal. I can help you with the same link, and here's a different link, and this is gonna give you some vocabulary from the story. And that's about it for this week. So guys, don't let this stuff stress you out. If you find it's taking too long, take a break or save it for later, even next week. It's a really stressful time for everybody right now, so we don't want you to be stressed here either, right? Um, Again, look on Teams, look at where you can reply if you want to ask questions about Peak or English work, and look where you can reply to if you want to submit anything. Let's say you want me to check your work or you have any questions about your work, please do so in the right place on Teams. If you don't, I'm not going to get mad at you, so no worries, guys. Hope everybody's safe and doing well. Hope you all have been having a great week. We'll stay in touch on Teams. Hopefully we can get a video call going. I'll set up a time when you guys could log in and we could have like a video chat sometime this week. I know other teachers have been doing that, and I think I would love to do it with you guys. I'm sure Mr. Bordage would as well. So we will keep in touch. Have a great time. Bye.